The counting of votes will continue today across the country, and with President-elect Joe Biden moving ahead with his planning, how will President Trump react? And what do people in Pittsburgh want to see the president do? New this morning, that's the question. John Shumway took to the street. So what did you hear, John?
Well, there are two issues here. What they want to happen and what they think will actually happen are the questions that I took to the street. So let's start with want. What do you want President Trump to do now?
What any normal president would do, step out of the office on January 20th.
Follow the vote. If the vote's for Biden, it's time to step down. And I'm a Trump supporter. You follow the law. That's what happens.
He needs to walk away, step away calmly, peacefully, and move on.
He may have some weaknesses, but one of his strengths is that he believes America is a great country and that we need to have a more unified country.
I guess he should just accept what has happened and leave.
I'd like it to be peaceful, but I really don't think it will be.
I would like him to just take a deep breath and then accept what happens in the end.
He should fight it. I think people give up too easily, especially during election times, and be interesting to see what comes about it.
And I really think he should just concede when the time comes. And it's coming. It definitely is coming.
If he follows suit like all the other presidents, if you lose, you lose. You know what I mean? And step away, that'll be great.
But stepping away doesn't appear to be in the cards. As you've heard, the president and his attorneys have indicated that they will be in court today, filing more legal actions across the country, questioning the voting process and the counting of the votes. So, Heather, that's what they want the president to do. What they expect the president to do, we'll talk about the next half hour.
It's interesting to hear some of the feedback that you're getting from people. I mean, I had several conversations with people, and it was that mixed bag. You know, you're hearing from very strong Trump supporters who say that if there was something unfair that happened, it should be investigated, or if they believe that.
Right.
But then you're also hearing exactly like you just heard from some of the voters.
And what was interesting is even those who say he should walk away believe that the recount process and all of that should take place.
Right.
So there is no question.
Okay. Thanks so much, John. Check back with you here shortly.